And according to the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's annual GDP growth rate fell in 2022 to 3.10% from 3.40% reported in 2021. And this is for Nigeria as a whole. But a research firm, Analyst Data Services and Resources, believes GDP data should also be collated at subnational level. Well, let's see why. Dr. Afolabi Alookere, now Managing Director, Chief Economist, Analyst Data Services and Resources, joins us now. Great to have you on the show.
Good morning, Ladi, and good morning to our viewers.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
So GDP data is in Nigeria is mostly collated at national level, and before now we had data for the subnationals, and that was, I think, collected up to about 2017. But why do we need GDP data at subnational level?
Yeah, so, and thanks once again. For many reasons, we need that. If you look at what we do in the country, for instance, Nigeria has its own National Development Plan 2021 to 2025. Nigeria is doing Agenda 2050. Many states in the country are also doing their plan. And GDP is one of the most important, if not the most important economic variable, or most cited economic variable. How then can you plan for the states in the country if you really don't understand the size of the economy of the state? Especially now, given that we just finished the election, we are supposed to be able to even see how some of the governors were able to expand their economy, how they were able to increase the growth rate of their economy, as well as the per capita income or per capita GDP of their state. But for most of the times, you are unable to see this kind of data. And even for the new government, you also want to know, what am I meeting on ground and where am I taking our people to? I mean, everybody will look at what was the growth rate under Obasanjo, what was the growth rate under Yar'Adua, Jonathan, and also now under President Muhammadu Buhari. Similar things should also be possible at the subnational level. Interestingly, we have some data that we can see here and there, but most of them are dated. They are not the things that you can use to measure the current performance of most of these people. So it is very important for us to be able to measure the level of economic activities at the subnational level so that we can do effective planning, effective policy making, and then be able to monitor the progress of government and governance. Otherwise, somebody can say, I expanded the economy of my state, but there are no data with which you can measure whether they actually did so.
And tell us about some of your findings, from research you've done about most of these states' GDP growth rate.
Okay, so we did a model. I mean, as you said rightly, there was the GDP done by NBS for states between 2013 and 2017. I think that was done for about 21, 22 states plus the FCT. But after that, there are one or two other states that have been doing their own GDP. I think Lagos State has done. There are many other states that have done. Some are even doing going to the level of doing GDP at quarterly level. But what is also very important is that you also don't have the GDP current data for most of the states. And when you do, you don't have for all the states. So what we are trying to do is to say, how can we fill in the blanks? How can we know the current situation of the economic performance of these states in terms of their level size, in terms of their growth rate, in terms of per capita GDP, actually to also be able to even see whether some of them are even advanced or some of them are low income, the way we look at it. Global economies. So we just try to do that to say, can we build a model where we can forecast the GDP of some of these states by looking at some variables that can be observed within them. So we actually did a very big and enlarged model with quite a number of academics and professionals where we brought together several variables that we can get at the subnational level for many 20, 30 years. Then we saw the way they correlate with the GDP of these states. Then with the performance of this variable, we are now trying to monitor the progress of the GDP of these states over time. So what we've done is that we've been able to see for the other 14 states that were not computed by the National Bureau of Statistics, we were able to determine their GDP. For instance, in 2017, Lagos State GDP was 17.62 trillion. That was the one done by NBS supporting Lagos Bureau of Statistics, while the next one was Federal Capital Territory at 10.63 trillion. And the last one was about 1.1 trillion for Zamfara State. But there were other states that were not there. So in our work, we're able to place these other states where they should be. For instance, Abia was not there. We're able to find out that Abia was about number 5 in the country, after Lagos, FCT, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, and then Abia is also a very large state. So we were able to place the remaining 14 states where they should be. That was the first thing we did. The other thing is that we're also able to show the GDP for 2022. As you also have said, we all know that GDP in 2022 came in at 202 trillion for the entire country. So we're able to disaggregate this across the states so that we know what portion belongs to Lagos, what portion belongs to Yobe, what portion belongs to you. And then we're also able to look at the growth rate of the economies of the state.
Quite incredible work you're doing there, but we'll get more elaborate report from you later on. We'll continue that conversation for sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Afolabi, MD, Chief Economist, Analyst Data Services and Resources. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.